People are dying to know the real motive behind Pastor Jamal Bryant's obsession for putting his wife, Dr. Carrie Turner, in those jaw-dropping, curve-hugging looks, and a whole bow to complete the aesthetic. So, is it a trophy wife flex to show the world and his exes, especially from Housewives, that he's landed the ultimate prize? Or is it a scandal shield designed to keep us talking about lace and sequins instead of his very, very messy past? Or maybe they're just trying to prove you can be saved and sexy to win over the Instagram generation and grow the new birth church. Looks like they are not going to leave our timelines anytime soon. So how about we just get into it? Now, y'all know that one thing about Dr. Carrie Turner, she's going to show up in her outfits unapologetically. And she always says that she dresses for herself and her husband. I mean, even for her wedding to Jamal Bryant at the Waldorf Astoria, Dr. Carrie skipped the traditional white gown for something much more daring. She was in a custom bubblegum pink jumpsuit covered in oversized crystals, featuring a dramatic cutout back and a massive pink tulle train. Then, following the jumpsuit, she changed into a second outfit for the wedding reception that leaned into a sexy silhouette. However, it seems like every time she steps out, the crowd finds a reason to clutch their pearls. The critics are essentially saying that as a first lady, she needs to tone down the bodycon energy and stick to something a bit more decent. They're calling her looks worldly and inappropriate for a minister, basically setting up a barometer of holiness based on how much skin, or illusion of skin, she shows. Of course, the recent meltdown happened when Dr. Karri went to the 2025 UNCF Atlanta Mayor's Masked Ball at Signia by Hilton Atlanta in a flesh-colored dress with black lace detailing that led down to a large black bow around her legs. Ugh, that look literally broke the internet, as people called it inappropriate and attention-seeking. Well, regardless of what people said, her husband spoke directly to the critics during a New Year's Eve service, which was shared on his and the church's Instagram pages, and he was like, I needed to get this straight. I needed to deal with it head on, because the other day the internet went crazy about a dress my wife had on. Now, they didn't say anything about the $4 million that was raised for the United Negro College Fund. They never mentioned that she prayed until heaven came down. They never said anything about how this was the largest fundraiser for HBCUs in the country. But insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded people got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress. Now you gotta help some people, because some people are going to embrace the full knowledge of ignorance without any assistance for understanding. The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color. I needed to set the record straight. I bought the dress, and I like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't married to y'all. She's married to me. Now, even after the justification, followers still called her dress sheer and questioned its appropriateness, since she is a pastor's wife, and claimed it was see-through and unbecoming of a first lady of a church, with some internet commentators accusing her of being half-naked and lacking modesty. We even had other ministers, like Bishop Patrick Wooden, commenting and saying that it was totally inappropriate.
Our objection to a man of the cloth presenting his wife in public looking like a $2 whore. Two. At least two. Now, I didn't say she was. I'm not talking about her. My statement is not about her. My statement is about him. I said he presented his wife, and he said he bought the dress. Those are his words, not mine. There is nothing classy about that. There's nothing modest about that. He said we haven't been anywhere. What I would like to know is, where have you been? Where did he go? So I'll make sure that I never go there.
But the question is, why does Pastor Jamal dress his wife or encourage her to step out the way she does? For starters, people have said that after years of public humiliation following his divorce from Giselle Bryant and multiple cheating scandals, many believe Jamal is using Carrie's looks as a status symbol. Ideally, by dressing her in high-fashion appealing attire, he's signaling to the world and perhaps his exes that he has won. Honey, About those cheating scandals, we are talking about a man who has been accused of cheating multiple times. Remember when he was married to Giselle in 2002? He had a daughter with another woman, Crystal Madison, in 1998, right around the time he and Giselle were supposedly starting their relationship. Then, while married to Giselle, with whom he has 3 daughters, Bryant admitted his immaturity led to his affairs, and he famously said he was more concerned with saving his career than saving his marriage. Well, in 2020, they briefly reconciled on The Real Housewives of Potomac, but rumors of continued slinging of his big D and fathering a child made rounds in Atlanta, and that led to another split in 2021.
But he's definitely been talking to another woman, and it's clear conversations. And if you'd like to see him, I got him in my little receipt book right here.
I don't have any reaction to that.
Well, then you can just go ahead and have this. He's always asking about her schedule. He's sending screenshots to her whenever he's doing his little church tours.
How do you know those texts are real?
You want me to call out his phone number? I'm sure she knows what his phone number is.
What's your motivation behind that?
410 Jamal Bryant.
Is that his phone number?
Yeah, that's his phone number.
He was also mentioned on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, where it was alleged that Jamal Bryant was the man saved in Phaedra Park's phone as Chocolate while she was still married to Apollo Nida.
All right, this was like one of the worst filming experiences of my life. My castmate at the time, Phaedra Parks, she and her husband Apollo were going through like all kind of craziness in their marriage. Apollo was good friends with my husband, Peter. Apollo told Peter that Phaedra was cheating on him with a guy named Mr. Chocolate. You can't make this stuff up. And then, of course, the producers were like, well, you have to tell the girls. So I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, I could just put it on the table, but if we're not really gonna put it on the table, then it is what it is.
I'm like so stressed out about it. I don't like it.
Let me just go ahead and put everything on the table.
I'm literally praying for like a power outage. Anything to happen so I don't have to say this. I'm getting like text on my phone and people in the corner with the teleprompter like, drop the bomb, drop the bomb, drop the bomb, bring up Mr. Chocolate. So finally I'm like,
In addition, Pastor Jamal was also accused of fathering an offspring with a 17-year-old member of his congregation. However, in response, Bryant wrote a scathing open letter to Ebony, stating that while he did have a baby out of wedlock during that time, it was with an adult, and he accused the magazine of reckless endangerment of his family and congregation. Okay, maybe it wasn't with the 17-year-old, but he still admitted to fathering a baby with a member of his congregation. So of course, people have always wondered whether it was an isolated incident or he frequently sleeps with his flock. So who knows? Maybe putting his wife in appealing attire is a way for Pastor Jamal to overcompensate for his past infidelity. You see, psychologically, men who have been caught straying often go into overdrive to prove their devotion to their current partner. And by buying Dr. Carrie expensive, revealing gowns and defending her fiercely from the pulpit, Pastor Jamal is creating a public narrative of a united front, even if the public remains skeptical. Maybe all this is just a distraction because by leaning into fashion controversies, Jamal moves the conversation away from his past messiness and onto a debate about freedom, and it's much easier to fight this than it is to answer for past personal failures. Well, people are saying that it never ends well, and they see a scenario where Jamal and Carrie will end up like Pastor Devon Franklin and Megan Good. The thing is, Megan was married to Devon Franklin for nearly a decade, and they made headlines a lot over the course of their marriage because of how much Devon constantly protected Megan against backlash from the Christian community regarding her style and fashion choices. People always said it looked like Megan and Devon were on opposite ends in terms of their personalities and lifestyles, and one of the things that came up many times is how Megan presented herself, and given all the backlash she was receiving, it's possible that the criticism made it even harder for their conflicting personalities. I don't know if Devon just got tired of constantly having to protect Megan cause. In December 2021, Devon filed for divorce, and later on, both of them shared a joint statement confirming their split, saying, After much prayer and consideration, we have decided to go into our futures separately, but forever connected. We celebrate almost a decade of marriage together and a love that is eternal. There's no one at fault. We believe this is the next best chapter in the evolution of our love. We are incredibly grateful for the life-changing years we've spent together as husband and wife. Well, Devon did say later that he cried himself to sleep every night after the divorce from Megan, and that the experience was truly devastating.
There are nights, I'm crying myself to sleep. There are moments when I've been angry, but I've allowed myself to feel whatever I felt in order to heal. Because in my experience, when I'm not facing what I'm feeling, then I'm trying to find something else to help me get through the pain.
However, the thing is with these two, there was the allegation that as much as Devon is a pastor, allegedly he was very toxic throughout the marriage. In fact, there was someone who once spilled that she heard Megan in the washroom stall of a restaurant calling to report her every movement to Devon, meaning that throughout the marriage, Devon was possibly a control freak. We even had people saying that as soon as they split, Megan landed more gigs, which could only mean that when they were together, he was possibly preventing her from working. When she was married to Devon, people barely saw her in anything, and it was strange considering that she is someone who literally grew up in the industry. And let's also not forget the rumor that Devon had Megan bleaching and thinking she was fat. Basically, people are kind of saying the same thing about Pastor Jamal cause he's apparently giving narcissist. Allegedly, there is a possibility that Dr. Carrie is being forced indirectly by Pastor Jamal to present as saved and sexy. Anyway, at the end of the day, whether Jamal is truly covering his wife from a place of radical affirmation or simply using her high fashion to pivot away from his own messy history, the result is the same. The Bryants have successfully traded traditional Sunday best for a viral, celebrity-driven brand that demands attention. I'm not sure whether it's working in their favor or against them, but I'd love to know whether you think they are just doing too much in the comments section below.